Next up, we'll have Pastor Ranjan Samuel come up and share some thoughts, and he's also going to bring some greetings. Pastor Ranjan is the founder and senior pastor of Christ Church of India in San Jose. He has been pastoring the church for the last 21 years. And during this time, the church has grown from about 6 members to over 600 members. One of the passions for Pastor Ranjan is to plant church and manage church also. He's married to Miss Usha Samuel, and they have 2 sons aged 28 and 24. Pastor Ranjan.
It's such a joy to be here this afternoon. Planting churches is very close to my heart. It's absolutely a necessary thing wherever we go. Paul and Hepzibah have been good friends to us for the past several years. In 1995, as he mentioned the day that you walked into our church and we got to know each other, instantaneously I knew that he would be a wonderful elder of the church because I spoke to him and he would not listen to me. I knew that he was a good elder. No, not really. He's a good guy. And Hepzibah happened to be the pioneer of ladies, one of the pioneers, I should say, for the ladies' Bible study we had in our church. And Paul Sudagar was with me, and we were having a Bible study. At that particular Bible study, I saw about 9 guys. They were having a heated discussion on one of those issues, which I wouldn't like to say it from here, because I don't know what denomination this church is actually. So they were discussing, heated discussion. And I was just simply sitting and smiling at these guys. And they were wondering, would you ever just enter into a conversation and bring peace among us? How come you are keeping quiet? And in my mind, I was thinking, there are 8 guys who are having a serious discussions. There are 8 different locations I can make them Bible study leaders. That's how I looked at them. So immediately said, Paul, you take one Bible study this side. You take another one. You take another one. You take another one. Then we distribute the Bible study in different corners. Right now we have 6 Bible study corners. That's very good, isn't it? So out of these things, great things came up. And this is a 3rd church that we planted in San Ramon. One, and we started in a series. I just would like to just leave a word of admonishing for our brother and sister and brothers and sisters. They are starting this church. Teething stage is never a happy time when you start a church. It's always been a troubling time and also very challenging time and an exciting time indeed. That's the time that you really realize that you are depending totally and completely on God and who is leading this ministry in us and through us. My wife and I sat down in the church that we started in series near Modesto. Many, many months that we sat only she and I. That's it. Nobody else. And the funny part of the whole thing, though, she would type my sermon and she would get to hear it again. And on her way back home, and she would always tell me, you missed a couple of points. So I was thinking the Lord, thank you for the challenging time that you've given us. Then we sat down, then we took this telephone directory, and we just began to write the numbers, just like the way our brothers and sisters must have done. All the Indian names, Christian-sounding Indian names, you got them as a congregation. Then I realized that Pat Singh and Harry Singh, and then, you name it, Henry, and every name, and Singh, Sandhu, and Singh. And then I was telling my wife, man, we got 300 members right there. Then I asked those guys, hey, would you come and worship with us? We opened a church recently, and they said, no, we go to Gurudwara, the temple for the Sikh brothers and sisters. But your name is Henry, your name is Sam. Yeah, my name is Parbinder Singh. They cannot say Parbinder, so I made myself Pat. So that was a big shock for us as a minister. Then we realized this is not the way to bring the people into church. Then we started doing this one-on-one, and then we brought the people together, and we raised the people. And then found out, then we planted the other church with 6 people and 8, and grew to so many numbers that has been mentioned. And then one thing that really clear that God spoke to me, that volunteership, that you just really have to just press it upon. I want to read this to you real quick. I have only 2 more minutes left. Oh, 2 minutes, this is too long. Pastors don't mean anything. Anyway, service to church. How do you have the volunteers? How do you get the people involved? Get involved. This is, maybe some of you heard it. This is a story about 4 people in the church whose names were everybody, somebody, anybody, and nobody. So they were everybody, somebody, anybody, and nobody. The church had financial responsibilities, and everybody was asked to help. Everybody was sure that somebody would do it. And anybody could have done it. But you know who did it? It ended up that everybody blamed somebody when nobody did anything, and anybody could have done, and ultimately nobody did anything. Then the church grounds needed some work, and somebody was asked to help. But somebody got angry about that because anybody could have done it just as well. And after all, it was really anybody's job, everybody's job. At the end of work was given to nobody, and nobody did a fine job. And on this went, and when every work, whenever work was given and to be done, nobody could have always been counted on. Nobody visited the sick. Nobody gave liberally. Nobody shared his faith. In short, nobody was a very faithful member. Finally, the day came when somebody left the church and took anybody and everybody with him. Guess who was left behind? Volunteers. I admonish Brother Paul and rest of the brothers and sisters, pitch in and do the volunteer work. And one of the members of my ministry, he came to me and he said, I am resigning from this position that you gave me. I looked in his eyes and I smiled. And he asked me, why do you smile at me? I said, I'm looking at myself seeing what a great leader and pastor that I am, that made you feel that you resign. What do you mean by that? That is, only employed people resign. Volunteers quit. But you said you resign. I must have been a great leader that you made you feel as though you are paid. My point is, and every should feel that you have been given the responsibility as though you are paid. Cling on to it. Numbers don't matter. It is the quality. God has kept us a small church for us to explode and reach out the community. In the Bay Area alone, 200,000 to 300 Indians live right there. We can brag about a church being there for 23 years, and we can brag about so many things that we could have done, and yet I would say we barely scratched the surface. The war is there. We need to just win the people for Christ, who's our life, who's our light. We thank you, Paul, wherever you are. I don't know where you are. And I want to thank you and Hepsi for the tremendous leadership and the rest of the people who are standing together. For anything at all, you can count on us. And we are just only a phone call away. We can come and be part of it. Amen. God bless.